Have we done?
Oh, here's George.
And I talked to Bob here, as far as I know. No, I didn't talk to him today. Unless somebody else said to him.
We don't have a quorum. Should we just swear in the new board members and start the next board?
I can try to call Bob first. Or you want to do it?
We can go if you want to.
I don't see any reason to wait.
I don't either, really.
Should we have the safety announcement first?
No, we don't have to. We just need Joe for this one. I mean, if you want to take a minute, I can step out and see where Bob is. Sure. I think we can go either way.
It's 7:02.
Someone can make a motion.
Okay. Hello? Oh. Hello, everyone. In the absence of a quorum, we're trying to figure out the order of things to do. And so we're going to begin with swearing in, which we do not need a quorum for. We're certain of that. Should I take the mic?
Chuck, do you want to go to the?
Should do it at the speaker so people can hear?
Would you like to do that?
I would.
Yeah. We considered that, but we thought we might wait till the meeting was really convenient.
Oh, thank you ever so much.
Shall I start with you, George? You want to go to that mic or stand here? Okay. All right, we'll do it over here. Okay. So this is George Kucinich, and I'm going to swear him in. He's going to read his official oath. Repeat after me. I, George Kucinich,
I, George Kucinich,
having been appointed to the office of trustee. Oh, yeah, it says appointment. Excuse me. We have a typo. Having been elected to the office of trustee for the Warren Newport Public Library District
having been elected to the office of trustee for the Warren Newport Public Library District
in the state of Illinois, in the county of Lake aforesaid,
in the state of Illinois, in the county of Lake aforesaid,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of trustee
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of trustee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. we should wait till the typo's fixed. Okay, we'll take care of it.
Oh, okay, sure.
Okay, so this is Nancy Sheldon, and she's our second newly elected trustee. And repeat after me. I, Nancy Sheldon,
I, Nancy Sheldon,
having been appointed to the office of trustee
having been elected to the office of trustee for the Warren Newport Public Library District in the state of Illinois and the county of Lake aforesaid, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of trustee according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Okay, you wanna read or repeat? No worries. Either way works. I'll try to get the appointed elected thing for this time. Okay. So this is Tom Colwell, and he is our third newly elected trustee, and this is his oath. I, Tom Colwell,
I, Tom Caldwell,
having been elected to the office of trustee
having been elected to the office of trustee
for the Warren Newport Public Library District
for the Warren Newport Public Library District
in the state of Illinois, in the county of Lake aforesaid,
in the state of Illinois and the county of Lake aforesaid,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of trustee
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of trustee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Yeah. Hey, Bob. But we'll have to skip the CNADA now.
No, you do not have to skip CNA. You can call the original meeting to order now that you have a quorum. Go through all this except for the swearing in and then dissolve.
Okay, since you're already sitting here, that's not what they said to do at Rails, but that's okay. Okay, we can do it that way.
Hadn't shown up.
Right, okay. All right, okay. All right. Okay, so 7:09, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Beckwith,
Here.
Caldwell,
I think it has to be the old board.
okay. Deal, Farcapisi,
Here.
Friedman, absent, Kotsinis,
Here.
Rivers, absent. We have a quorum.
Trustee Farcapisi, would you like to read the mission statement?
No.
Did we skip the Pledge of Allegiance?
Oh, I skipped the pledge, right?
I can do that.
All right, let's do the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, how about now the mission statement?
Because I don't have my glasses on and the
Oh.
print's too small.
Do you want to read the mission statement? Okay, thank you.
The Warren Newport Public Library District provides the community with access to information, kindles the imagination of children and adults, and supports lifelong learning.
Next is safety instruction.
So, hello? Hello, my name is Will. I'll be your security monitor this evening. I just want to let everybody know, can you please cut off your cell phones or silence them? All righty, beautiful. Just a quick reminder, up the ramp right here, the first exit is the entrance. The second one is the restrooms. The third one is the food and beverage area. This is there's an exit here as well for emergency purposes, and in case something does happen and the emergency response unit comes in, can you please leave a path so they can operate? Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. It has Secretary's report, approval of minutes of the regular meeting of the 21st of April, page 7 in your packet, and patron suggestions for April, page 13. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Bob seconded. Roll call.
Kotsinis,
Aye.
Beckwith,
Aye.
Deal, Friedman, absent. Farkapisi,
Aye.
Rivers, absent. Ayes have it.
Okay, we already swore in trustees. Item 8. Do I have a motion?
I move the meeting be adjourned sine die.
I'll second that. Roll call.
Kotsinis,
Aye.
Deal, Farkapisi,
Aye.
Friedman, absent. Beckwith,
Aye.
Rivers, absent. Ayes have it.
Thank you, everybody, for hanging in there.
Okay. Item 9. Seating of the new board. So I think since we're sworn in, we can just do that. Welcome to Tom and Nancy. Okay, number 9A, election of President Pro Tempore. Do I have a motion?
I would like to nominate George Katsenis as President Pro Tempore.
A second. Do you accept her?
I accept.
Discussion? Roll call?
Beckwith,
Aye.
Kotsinis,
Aye.
Deal, Farkapisi,
Aye.
Caldwell,
Aye.
Sheldon.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
So I think that means I take the mic. Election of Secretary Pro Tempore. Do we have any nominations?
I nominate Joe Beckwith.
No discussion?
That nominations be closed.
Okay. No discussion? Fully agree.
Thank you, Bob.
Do we need to vote?
Want to call for the vote?
Yeah. Call the vote.
Caldwell,
Aye.
Sheldon,
Aye.
Beckwith,
Aye.
Kotsinis,
Aye.
Deal, Farkapisi.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
All right. Item C, call to order. Roll call and determination of quorum.
Beckwith,
Here.
Caldwell,
Here.
Deal, Farkapisi,
Here.
Kotsinis,
Here.
Sheldon.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, election of officers. We are now accepting nominations for the election of president. I hear any nominations.
I would like to nominate a slate, please.
Very well.
I would like to nominate Joe Beckwith for president and Andrea Farcapizzi for treasurer, Tom Colwell for vice president, and since self-nomination is permitted, I'm going to nominate myself for secretary.
I'll second. Any discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Sheldon,
Aye.
Beckwith,
Aye.
Kotsinis,
Aye.
Deal, Farcapisi,
Aye.
Caldwell,
Aye.
ayes have it.
Yeah, get the gavel, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you again. I wish short-lived Jen. She did a great job.
Okay. So, where are we? 11. Appointment of committees. I think what I'm going to do this month is appoint what I see are the vacancies. So right now, the vacancies I see are that we have a vacancy in the chair of building and grounds. I'm hoping, Tom, that you would take that on, would you? Thank you. We have now, if I'm the president, a vacancy as chair of policy committee. George, will you take that on?
I'll take that.
Thank you very much. And sort of a technicality, but since Nancy has been a citizen member of policy, I see that there's a trustee vacancy on policy. And so if you're willing to stay on as a member, but as a trustee instead of a citizen, are you willing to do that?
I am.
Okay. So what I'd like to do, I know from committee reports that all the citizen members we have are interested in continuing to serve, and I think the board will be discussing use of committees and citizen members next month. So I want to leave everything else as is and hope that those citizen members will continue to serve a status quo for right now, and then I'll make some more appointments in June as permitted by bylaw. Okay?
Joe,
Yes.
could you point out to the audience who are the chairs automatically of personnel and finance?
Yes, so the automatic chairs are, by bylaw, the automatic chair of finance is the treasurer, Andrea. Automatic chair of personnel is the president. And those are the only two by bylaws, I believe, correct?
Are you
So,
going to appoint any trustees to the art committee?
well, I had agreed to continue to serve,
Okay,
so I think we're covered there for right now.
okay.
Okay. Okay. So next is president's report. I really don't have a report as president. I have a few things I was going to say that for this month that I did as secretary. One was that I went to Ryan's donors reception, which was a really great event. I hope a repeatable one. I see some faces of other people here tonight who were at that, and it was a really great event. I thought you and Lauren did a great job. Also, we learned that we were a little bit behind in that the secretary is supposed to notify the county clerk and the state librarian when we have a vacancy on the board, and I did not know that. And so that was taken care of this last month. And then I just had this other little, which is, did anyone see this article in the paper today in the Tribune? Did you see it? Wasn't it a great article? Okay, so this is an article by Rick Kogan, and it's really, I'll just pass it around, but it's, he's talking about the idea that the Obama Library is getting so much talk but that it reminds us all that we all have a great library to go to. And it's right down the street from us, and it's in our hometown. And there are so many of them. And here's my favorite quote. The suburbs, too, are filled with active and essential libraries. Live there, find yours. Though many of us now inhabit a Google world, I shortened that a little bit, for an incalculable number of people, libraries provide not only books, movies, music, and other entertainments they could not otherwise afford, but also places of sanctuary, peace, and enlightenment. So I just had to let my library geek show a little bit, but anyway, I'll pass it around. Okay, reports of other trustees. Go.
I attended the bingo in the books event, and I see a lot of faces here who were there that night, and those of us who were there can wholeheartedly attest it was so much fun. And Doug can give us or Ryan can give us the exact figure, but a significant amount of money was raised for the tween space. But we just had a lot of fun. I won some movie tickets. It only cost me four movie tickets only cost me a couple $100. But I really want to compliment the staff and thank everybody who gave generously, and it was just really a wonderful event. I think Laura and I don't know how many of the staff were behind it, but they really did a fabulous job.
Anyone else? Bob? No? Okay, I just want to say one more thing then. I look around this table and I see the faces I've wanted to see for 4 years on this board. And I'm reminded of many, many months ago when Nancy told me that I had not served one normal day on this board. And it's true for everyone at this table except for Nancy and Tom. So what I hope for this board is that we can be normal, that we can have ideas, that we can argue, agree, and disagree, that we can make a decision, collaborate, and then we can move on to the next thing that is the business of this library. And when I look out and see these faces of these people, I'm reminded how hard everyone worked to make this change happen. And so many more of you who aren't here tonight. And I think that the board and the library staff owe you all a big debt of gratitude and a big round of applause. Sorry. Thanks. Okay, should I press on? Okay, correspondence. Where's that letter that you gave me? Oh, right. First piece of correspondence is in our board packets on page 15. It is the abstract of votes that certifies who won the seats in our election, and it's on page 15 of your packet. So, any comments about that? Any memoranda from legal counsel? Okay, so just one other piece of correspondence. I won't read the whole thing out loud, but I'll just say that it was a thank you letter from Mr. Stoyas, whose FOIA requests and appended materials were read at last month's meeting, and he thanked us all for our attention to it, and I'll pass that around too.
Everybody has a copy of it.
Oh, okay, you have a copy at your places. Okay, next is public forum. Visitors who wish to address the board are asked to introduce themselves, and you have 3 minutes. We have one person, right? And it is Jill Ballack.
Thank you. My name is Jill Ballack. My husband Bill and I live on Steeple Point Boulevard in Gurnee. And it is an honor to be the first person to be able to address this wonderful board. Today is the first day of the rest of our lives doing this. Terrific. Someone said, actually the person who said that I think is in this room right now, who has a great association with the library, said that the time facing you as a board and the library as a whole is the theme of restoration. How appropriate. Restoration of civility, restoration of spirit, restoration of purpose, and a physical restoration. The physical restoration? Am I suggesting maybe we do exercises out in the hallway? No. But just hold that thought for a minute. Physical restoration. A vital component of our success at Warren Newport Public Library continues to be the high level of performance of our staff. You acknowledge it. I think we in the public have acknowledged it, especially in the last year, which was troublesome. But there is something very wonderful about our staff. I'm very proud of our staff as a patron. But something is missing, and now I call your attention to the physical plant, the building where we are tonight. This may not resonate with you. We just remodeled a few years ago. But I'm going to call your attention to the staff workroom. Where is that, you might ask? Well, it has been known as the staff lounge. But you know, the word lounge really doesn't agree with me when I think what goes on there is not some person on a chaise eating bonbons and peeled grapes. No, it's a staff workroom. And if you have not seen it, I think you would be, and those of you who have seen it, know that there is a really disconnect between that area of our library and the rest of our building here. In 1997, I believe that was the year it was remodeled. A long time. Apparently, there were some plans to address that in some of the other remodeling and refurbishment, I can't say it, plans, but I guess it was put on the back burner. So I understand that a staff workroom from 1997 to 2015 is really going to have a different design, because now it is used for meetings. Certainly, the staff will take their allotted lunch break, but outside of that, it's used for meetings, for in-service, and for a variety of things. And I think, from what I understand, there have been some attempts to work on that with maybe repairing a sink, maybe repairing cabinet fronts, possibly countertops. I think it's in the budget right now. But I would suggest to you that this is really a piecemeal thing. And really what needs to be done is a complete renovation and redesign of your staff workroom so that you may be able to have your staff function in the top way that we know that they can. I respectfully suggest to the board that a complete overhaul of the staff workroom, space, and facilities be considered. How to pay for that? Well, I'm sure you've been dealing with that all the time when you deal with your budget. But there are strategies that you can explore, and I'm sure you have more answers to that than I do. But I would like to offer you one strategy tonight. And that is that my husband Bill and I are willing to support this library in that renovation, complete renovation of the staff workroom. We are willing to underwrite some of the costs, a substantial amount, for a complete renovation of the workroom in a timely fashion. This is really about keeping your staff morale high. The current staff and hopefully the future staff that we will be able to attract now that the silliness is gone from last year, and you will have up-to-date facilities for your staff. How we treat our staff is a measure of an outstanding workplace in the ways that are obvious and some ways that are maybe not as obvious, but certainly just as important. We hope that the board will consider our comments. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you for that. Okay, item 15, Exec Director's Report, page 19 of your packet. Information. Any questions? Want to say anything?
I'll just say a few things. It's very good to be here tonight. I love the atmosphere in the room this evening. So I just wanted to mention, Andrea talked about the fabulous Bingo in the Books event, and she's right. I don't want to name all the staff involved because it was a team effort. There were so many people involved. I would miss someone. So, but we grossed about $5,500 from Bingo the Books, which is fantastic. So. And in terms of other things I wanted to point out, I only have a couple of minutes. Continuing the word-of-mouth marketing campaign, we were very successful with our campaign for Shout Bomb. We nearly doubled our number of registrations to this word-of-mouth campaign. And if you haven't signed up, you can still sign up for Shout Bomb to get text messages to alert you about your overdues. But this month, we're focusing on early bird summer reading program registration. What we'd like to do is to get more people to register and log their books online. There are a lot of advantages to this. You can do it early. You can do it as early as June 5th. If you participate in this, you can be eligible to win a $25 gift card to Target, and you don't have to wait. And the great thing about doing the summer reading program online is that if you travel for the summertime, go on a family trip, you can log your progress throughout the summer, because especially these days with traveling with a family, and if you're involved in a baseball traveling team, it's hard. It can be hard to get to the library on a regular basis. So it really accommodates today's modern family well. So that's the early bird summer reading program for word of mouth. So,
Thank you. Anyone have questions? Okay. Reports of standing committees. A couple canceled meetings. One on page 31. One on page 32. Questions? Okay. Approval of monthly financial reports for April. Anyone have a motion?
I move that the board approve the financial statements for April 2014 as presented.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Farcapisi,
Aye.
Kotsinis,
Aye.
Sheldon,
Aye.
Deal, Beckwith,
Aye.
Caldwell,
Aye.
ayes have it.
Bills payable and payroll.
So moved.
Anyone have a second? Discussion? Roll call.
Farcapisi,
Aye.
Sheldon,
Aye.
Beckwith,
Aye.
Caldwell,
Aye.
Deal, Kotsinis,
Aye.
ayes have it.
New business. Approval of the board roster. Anyone want to make a motion? Page 79 in the packet, if you want to look.
I'll move that we approve the new board roster.
I'll second that.
Does the motion need to include with the addition of the offices as stated tonight?
I was going to mention that during the discussion, but yeah, you could make it, you could amend the motion if you want.
I'll amend the motion as suggested. I move that we approve the, what did we call this thing?
Rescind your motion so she doesn't have to do
I'll rescind my motion, and let's start over. I move that the board ratify the board roster, including the officers elected tonight.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, roll call.
Katsinis,
Aye.
Beckwith,
Aye.
Sheldon,
Aye.
Deal, Farkapisi,
Aye.
Caldwell,
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay, report on the first draft of the budget, page 81. Ryan?
Thank you. So I want to be thorough but brief when I talk about this first report of the first draft of the working budget. I think that everyone at this table has been to one of the past two Finance Committee meetings, so they've heard it, but I know the members of the public have not heard about the budget this year, so I'm happy to talk a little bit more about it. First of all, I want to thank all those that are involved with the budget process. There are a lot of members of the staff that put a lot of hard work into this process, and I want to thank them for their hard work. And I also want to thank the Finance Committee for their collaboration on this working budget. It's been a really, I think, good process, and this is something that we've changed coming in. I had some initial meetings with the Treasurer and the Finance Committee, and we were on the same page about our philosophy going into this year's budget process. We wanted to have a budget that matched revenues and expenditures a little more closely than we had done in the past. It was a little bit of a different philosophy. An added wrinkle, though, this year is to do this while revenues were essentially flat. So the way we were able to accomplish this, with one notable exception, which I'll talk about in a moment, was to make some really tough choices about our expenditures. And I'll go into that in further detail in just a second. But what I want to point out tonight when I'm talking about the budget is the trustees' responsibilities with the budget. While this is certainly a collaborative responsibility between the staff led by the executive director and the board, ultimately it's the board that puts their stamp of approval on this budget. So this is your budget. The board has ultimate responsibility. And this is just a quick intro tonight. After tonight, you're going to get more info in the format of a budget narrative, which is basically a kind of a story about the budget, if you will. And I think everyone on this board is familiar with seeing budget narratives of the past. And you're going to have plenty of opportunities to ask questions about the working budget before it is hopefully approved next month. So consider this a brief introduction. There'll be time for me to take questions and answer them tonight. But please, do your homework. We'll talk about this further. And I know that you've been very involved with this process, and I appreciate that, taking this responsibility extremely seriously. So, essentially, I think when we look at the budget, you can break it down a couple different ways. If you look at page 82, you can see, a overall summary which breaks down your revenues and your expenditures. And as I pointed out, our revenues are essentially flat for this upcoming fiscal year, which is 15-16. I think going into this early on, we expected a little bit bigger of a property tax bump, but we didn't see that. And for those of you that don't know, in terms of revenues that the library receives, 92% is property tax revenue, and the rest is 8%. So that's very important in terms of revenue. so in order to accomplish what we wanted to accomplish, and I can talk more about revenues if you'd like, but I think that it's important for us to focus on expenditures because there's not a whole lot we can do about revenues at this point, but there are some things we can do about controlling our costs. So what did we do to make sure our revenues could closely match our expenditures? One of the big things we did is we cut some contingencies that were built into the budget. We analyzed what contingency money had gotten spent, and we removed some of those contingencies. You're always going to have contingencies for things like utilities because it's kind of impossible to predict energy costs, but some of the other things that we had built in, we had seen that we weren't really utilizing. So we made those cuts. In addition, employees now bear additional health premium costs in this budget. We cut some professional fees. Some of those were easy to cut. For example, this current fiscal year, we hired a consultant to help with the executive director search process. I plan on being here for a very long, long time, so there's no need to hire a consultant again. So, but there are other things we did as well. We're making an effort to be more strategic about contacting legal counsel, for example. Our legal bills were somewhat high. We're foregoing a consultant for the strategic planning process, which will occur in the fall. Between myself and members of the staff and this board, we have a lot of expertise on the strategic planning process. So it was a big expense, and in order to make this budget work, it's something we did cut back on. We have scaled back our training and development budget. We're exploring other opportunities to find ways to do that. I think we're being more selective and intelligent in our training and development. It's still a priority of mine because as Joe Balak alluded to earlier, we really need to invest in our staff. That's very important, and they're what's make this library such a great place. So. A big cut is scaling back our material spending. Which this number sounds really big to us book lovers. When you hear this, just stay seated and let me talk about it. It's about $74,000, with about nearly $42,000 coming out of the online electronic databases. We analyzed some of our online resources, and some of these resources are seldom used, and some of them have been replaced by other databases. So we had to make some tough choices there, and I also have to credit some members of our management team for hard negotiations with database vendors, because it turns out when you go to database vendors and you say, I'm sorry, we're having budget difficulties, we're going to have to do something about this database we can no longer afford, they come back with much better deals. So we were able to make some really good deals for some of our current existing databases. I'm happy to say, though, even though we have that cut in materials, if you look at our actual expenditures this fiscal year, what they're projected to be, the budgeted amount for FY15-16 is nearly what we're projected to spend this fiscal year. So I don't think it's going to be as tough a cut as it initially seems on paper. I think it will certainly will something we'll see, but it's not as harmful as it could have been. We scaled back only to the most essential capital projects in this initial draft of the working budget. The major capital projects in the budget include parking lot repairs, replacing lights in the parking lots with energy-efficient LEDs. So this is a project that will pay for itself in 3.9 years, so it's a smart project to invest in. And there is a minor maintenance issue we need to do with our security system. Then one thing we didn't spend in this year's budget that I can talk about in further detail if you'd like is money that we set aside for the tween space. So what this budget proposes is to money that's not spending this year that will get rolled into something that's called the Special Reserve Fund, for us to take out some money from that fund to use on the tween space, which as many of you know is a big priority of ours. When we did our needs assessment a few years ago, one of the top needs that the community has is this tween space dedicated for that population. Another thing that's in the budget as an expenditure, it's I guess an increase in expenditures, is something that's called a fundraising board retreat. And there have been a lot of concerns about that. I met the incoming president of the Friends, Diana Vickery, and we talked about this, and I want to assure everyone the idea behind this fundraising board coming together is for us to work together to double our efforts as opposed to having our efforts be in silos. I want to have a closer work relationship with our development officer and the Friends. This is to supplement what the Friends will do and to collaborate together to better use our limited resources. It is not any threats at all to the Friends of the library, I'm happy to say, just to clear that up if there was some concern about that. This budget and expenditures also includes a personnel 2% merit increase, which although it's a merit increase, it's essentially another way to look at it. We don't call this as a kind of a cost of living increase. So I don't want to go over my time. I want to leave plenty of time for questions. But in closing, I just wanted to point out once again that you will receive more information. You will receive a budget narrative that will go into further detail and break this down in more detail with our revenues and expenditures. And once again, thanks to everyone that's worked on this budget. It's been tough. We had to make some tough choices this year. But it's been a great team effort. It's been great collaboration with the Finance Committee. And I'm looking forward to continuing this process and finalizing the budget and hopefully getting approval next month. So at this time, I'd love to open the floor to questions that any of the board members might have.
First of all, I'd like to thank Brian, Doug, and the staff. We are months ahead of where we have been in previous years with the budget. I mean, we normally didn't even hit this point until August or July. So last year we were ahead because Steve was leaving us, and we wanted to get the budget under before he left. That being said, I do have a question about the fundraising board.
Sure.
Who would be on it? How would they be selected? Is it different than the board we have?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I want to say, first of all, the Friends would certainly be involved. I would hope that the Friends officers would be interested in being involved with that, so they would be part of it. I would imagine there would be a trustee liaison. And one of the reasons I want to talk about why we want to do this fundraising board, I bring some experience into this because of the fundraising background that I did in Arlington, Massachusetts, where actually I learned through a lot of mistakes that we made. For example, in Arlington, Massachusetts, we established a foundation which, although we collaborated closely with our Friends, there were a lot of hurt feelings and confusion. Members of the community thought, well, should I support the Friends or should I support the foundation? And if you talk to experts in this field of library fundraising, which is certainly a niche, they'll tell you that having a Friends and a foundation group is not a good model at all. And I've kind of learned that from experience. There's a group out of St. Paul, Minnesota called Library Strategies. And essentially what's happened is the Friends of the St. Paul Library have established this consulting group, and they're kind of the leader in library fundraising. And they have this free development status self-assessment tool that we took, and we didn't do so well in our rankings, which basically means, quote, you likely have deficiencies and should make improvements to increase fundraising capacity. So one of the ideas of having this fundraising board retreat is to invite them in and for them to teach us how we can be more efficient, how we can do this better. Because when we look at this budget, we're doing what we can to keep down our expenditures, but I would argue we need to find ways to increase revenues, and this is one way we could do it. But yeah, the board would certainly be involved. The Friends would be involved. We would probably want to establish some kind of nominating committee. It's a good question. That's something that we need to that I haven't ironed out yet. But I want to work closely with anyone that's interested on the board of trustees to establish, and also the Friends as well. Did I answer your question, Andrea?
I guess I still don't understand who would be making these appointments. Would it be you, the library director? Would it be the trustees?
Well, I would hope to form a nominating committee to really sit down and strategize what we would want on this fundraising board and what the representation would look like to figure that out. I would not want to do it. I would want it to be a collaborative effort. I mean, I have some ideas, but.
So I'm still confused. Who would be making the appointments?
well, there would be a committee that would make the appointments. Probably the committee would consist of myself, a board member or two, the members of the Friends officers.
I think I would need to see a little bit more information as he develops this process. I think once he develops it, can give us a little bit firmer, a more firm description of what he is, then we can. But I do like the direction that he's going. So.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I certainly don't have all the answers here. I'm not pretending that I do. But based on the information I have, based on mistakes that I've experienced, mistakes I've made, I think we can be more efficient. I think this is a step in the right direction. And maybe there's.
Would this be a one-time charge, or would it be a?
Oh.
Would this be a one-time charge, or would it be an annual charge?
One time would be my intention. Other questions?
I do have a comment. We'll be discussing the agenda again at next month's Finance Committee meeting, so everybody's invited.
Yeah.
As usual, it's your library.
That's right. That's right.
Nothing else on this? Everybody? Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
C, signature cards for officers.
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to line up a representative for Fifth Third Bank to come this evening. I did try, but they are flexible with us, and either the officers. So Joe and Andrea, you're all set. I don't think you need to do anything again. The outgoing officers will be off of the account, so I just need to get Tom and Nancy signed up. So what you can do is you can either go to the Fifth Third Bank on your own if you'd like, or we can talk about it offline, or I can get a copy of your information, and we can work it out whatever's convenient for both of you. So
Okay. Rails coaching feedback.
So I sent to all the board members, including our new board members, a draft of this report, and essentially what I did, if you've had a chance to look at it, I sent it to you last week, is I just took everyone's comments because everyone had a different opinion on this pilot program. Basically, it was our responsibility going into the agreement with Rails and John Keister to provide our feedback, what we thought worked about this trustee coaching pilot program, what didn't. So we got good feedback, and everyone had their own unique perspectives, and I had great ideas. I thought everyone's feedback, no matter how you felt about the program, was really interesting and will be valuable to Rails as they determine what they want to do with this program. So, and I'm open to suggestions if there's something that you would like tweaked with that report.
I liked it.
I'm good with it.
I think you should send it.
Okay, great.
Do we need to authorize a motion or anything?
I think it was requested of you by them. Isn't that correct?
I think that well, it's a little. I mean, I wouldn't mind a motion. I mean, I think it's a little ambiguous in what they require.
I move that we authorize Ryan Livergood to submit his report to Rails as it stands.
Discussion? Roll call? Mm-hmm.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Cotsini,
Aye.
Sheldon,
Aye.
Beal, Beckwith,
Aye.
Caldwell.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay. Exec session? Anyone want to make a motion?
I move that the board enter into executive session to consider the employment of legal counsel for the board, for the library, and the selection of a person to fill the vacancy, in the office of library trustee, and that such executive session not convene for about 10 minutes.
And could it include Ryan also?
Certainly.
Could we amend the motion to say include Director Livergood?
I'll second the motion.
Discussion?
I have discussion.
Okay.
I'd like to know if we could give the lovely patrons that we have here tonight an idea of when we would expect to be returning after we leave.
Well, the agenda shows 25 minutes, but I would hope we could be done more sooner than that. I hope. Let's shoot for 15.
I think we can do it in 15.
Okay, roll call.
Beckwith,
Aye.
Sheldon,
Aye.
Parkapisi,
Aye.
Caldwell,
Aye.
Kotsinis,
Aye.
Deal. Ayes have it. Executive session starts.
The reason that I suggested we
7:54.
would start the executive session for about 10
Who's the
minutes
speaker?
is, I'm sorry. The reason I requested that the executive session not start for about 10 minutes is that we'd like to invite you to, we have coffee and cake and cookies over here. And I thought we should do that before the executive session.
We have the video right now, so. Thanks for running the cake, Nancy. Hey.